In the quiet, mist-covered corners of rural Bangladesh, the line between our physical world and the unseen is often dangerously blurred. This is a true account originating from the village of Dargabazar in Kishoreganj. It was passed down to a young man named Bijoy, who now lives far away as a remittance worker in the United Arab Emirates. But the chilling memories of his childhood and the dark secrets of his grandmother Kamala still echo through time. The year was around 2008. Kamala was an elderly, spiritual woman, deeply respected in her community. One afternoon, while 8-year-old Bijoy was resting nearby, a local woman approached his grandmother. The woman was crippled by severe lower back pain and begged Kamala for her special healing touch. But Kamala firmly refused. Instead, she revealed a terrifying secret from her past, a night of absolute horror that forced her to abandon her mystical practices forever. Decades ago, when Kamala was in her 40s, she and her close friend Rahima possessed a unique yet dangerous gift. They didn't practice dark magic, but they knew how to communicate with the unseen entities of the marshlands, the Jinn. When villagers suffered from chronic illnesses or unexplainable pain, Kamala and Rahima would perform a secret ritual to appease these powerful spirits. Deep in the night, at an elevated mound near the dark waters of a desolate marsh, they would light candles in a circle, place an earthen pot filled with traditional sweets, and perform specific chants. Usually, an entity would rise from the water in a human-like form, accept the offering, listen to the problem, and cure the ailment. It was a flawless system, until one fateful night. On that specific night, Rahima had guests at home, so Kamala went to the marsh alone. She was fearless, having done this dozens of times without ever being harmed. She set up the candles and began her chants. Usually, the jinn would appear within 15 minutes. But that night, an hour passed. The silence was deafening, and the candles were burning dangerously low. Kamala frantically replaced the dying candles, knowing her safety depended on unbroken light. Just as the last original candles were about to die out, the water in the marsh began to boil violently. But what emerged was not the human-like figure she was used to. 3 monstrous, unnaturally large wild boars rose from the depths. Their eyes burned like red-hot coals. They grunted aggressively and violently dug up the earth, tearing down the muddy banks of the marsh. Kamala froze in absolute terror. They didn't step into the light, but the sheer force of their rampage shook the ground. After a few agonizing minutes, the beasts vanished into thin air. But the nightmare wasn't over. The water churned again. This time, 3 enormous demonic jackals leapt from the dark water. Their deafening, blood-curdling howls pierced the night sky. They charged at Kamala, intent on tearing her apart. But they stopped abruptly, right at the edge of the candlelight. Then, just like the boars, they vanished. Kamala's heart pounded in her chest. Suddenly, the earth began to shake. The most violent splashing yet echoed through the dark. 3 colossal, prehistoric, mammoth-like elephants with terrifying tusks emerged from the black water. They trumpeted fiercely, charging forward, threatening to crush her into the mud. Just as death seemed certain, a voice shattered the terror. "Kamala! Kamala!" It was Rahima. Worried by the unusual delay, she had come looking for her friend. Rahima couldn't see the monsters, but she saw Kamala's pale, lifeless face. Without a second thought, Leaving the earthen pot, the sweets, and all the offerings behind, the two women fled into the night. They never knew why the entities turned so violent that night. Perhaps the spirits were angered by the offerings, or perhaps dabbling with the unseen always demands a heavier price eventually.